With Thor Love and Thunder around the corner, we think it's important that you become more acquainted with one of the film's more prominent characters, Valkyrie. So, let's get into it. Here are the top 10 Valkyrie facts you need to know. At number 10, Valkyrie's origins are from ancient Norse mythology. In the earlier Thor comics, there was a running backup feature known as Tales of Asgard, and it told stories from ancient Norse mythology and presented them as part of the official canon. One of these texts was the Volsunga Saga, which is a 13th century Icelandic tale, and it acts as one of the origins for Valkyrie as we know her today. Another one was Nibelungenlied, a High German epic poem that also told some of the origin of the character. And these referential texts aren't entirely fictional either. These stories are largely based on the real-life Merovingian Queen Brunhild, who is fabled to have had an affair with Thor, or the mortal incarnation of him at least, a guy named Siegfried. The story ends in a tragedy with everyone dying, but within that tale is where we get the origins of Valkyrie. Also, you know the saying, "It's not over till the fat lady sings"? Well, the fat lady being referred to comes from an opera by Richard Wagner that was also based on these tales. And the fat lady is based on the same character as Valkyrie. This part isn't official Marvel lore though. Marvel's Valkyrie doesn't sing. At least, I don't think she does. At number 9 is that Valkyrie is actually the only one left out of all the Valkyrior. The Valkyrior, for those who aren't aware, are a group of demigoddesses who send the souls of slain Asgardian warriors to Valhalla. The group usually consists of 9 warriors who ride winged horses and are typically led by Brunhild, aka Valkyrie. But tragically, this fleet of godly warriors is killed in a huge war, while Valkyrie's soul is imprisoned by Amora the Enchantress. So she finds herself coming out of imprisonment entirely alone, and forced to pave her own path. Well, not quite, because Odin does revive the Valkyrior, but only allows them to exist within the walls of Valhalla, which is basically the afterlife. So he doesn't really bring them back to life. Either way, Valkyrie is tasked with finding a new group of Valkyrior after this incident. Although, considering it's probably pretty hard to find 9 more demigoddesses that can also ride winged horses, and the fact that Valkyrie just misses her old friends, she doesn't complete the task. She instead moves on and creates the Fearless Defenders, which is a fully female team of heroes from all corners of the Marvel Universe. At number 8 is that Valkyrie actually has a 6th sense that other Asgardians don't. And this 6th sense is the ability to tell when someone is about to die. As much as Valkyrie may be an unoriginal character along with her other Asgardian counterparts, there are certain features that Marvel adds to make these characters more impactful. And this is one of them. Valkyrie is the only Asgardian who has the power to see what's described as a death glow around anyone that is facing imminent death. The purple aura will appear around anyone who's about to face their end, but Brunhild doesn't get to know how or when their deaths will come. She just knows it's coming soon. She's given this power because as the leader of the Valkyrior, it is her duty to retrieve the fallen soldiers of any war and bring them to Valhalla. So it sort of makes sense that she'd be equipped with a power like this. Sort of bittersweet though, you know, I'm sure it would kind of get old when you're not on the job having to face moral dilemmas on a daily basis, like seeing the death glow around someone on the street and wondering whether or not you should tell them, "Oh, watch out for that bus, oh, purple aura, should have said something." At number 7 is that Valkyrie's sword is a carved dragon's tooth. Such an extremely skilled fighter like Valkyrie naturally needs a powerful weapon to support her in her combative escapades. Contending valiantly against the likes of Hela, Thor, and Odin himself, this warrior does not mess around, so her weaponry has to be up to par with her own standards. And what's more sacred and durable and powerful than the actual tooth of a dragon, right? This magic, indestructible sword is known as Dragon Fang, for obvious reasons, and it was carved by a primordial sorcerer. But the sword didn't always belong to Valkyrie. Originally, it belonged to the Ancient One, and was then handed down to, still not Valkyrie, but Doctor Strange. And then Doctor Strange handed it off to Valkyrie. I think Strange just realized what the rest of us probably already had figured, which is that there's no one that should wield the sword more fittingly than Val. At number 6 is that Valkyrie's best friend is Hellcat. Patsy Walker, aka Hellcat, is a classic Marvel hero first appearing in the comics in 1944. But down the line, she runs into Valkyrie as part of the Defenders in the 1970s. During this time, the two hit it off together and become fast friends, to the point where they actually end up sharing an apartment together later on in the comics. During their friendship, they have fought against Cassiolena and have also been in numerous alliances together. This would include the Defenders, as mentioned before, but also the Fearless Defenders, which is kind of a development of the same team. And that's only when they aren't spending time together outside of work. Would it be called work? Being in superhero alliances to fight evil? Anyway, I think at their level, I feel like it'd be hard to get downtime, so what isn't work at that point? Either way, when they do get time off, they like to spend it together. At number 5 is that Valkyrie used to be a villain, or at least she was cloned and her clone was a villain. But what's bizarre is that Thor actually did this while he was going through a weird time in his life. Can't we all relate? He basically goes nuts from Thor number 460 to 471 and makes an evil Valkyrie who then promptly possesses him. But the way she's created isn't really Thor's fault. After years of stressful events, Thor's mind cracks and the embodiment of his hysteria is an evil Valkyrie who is then made real by accident by Moondragon. This evil incarnation of Valkyrie then controls Thor to do whatever she pleases, including attacking Beta Ray Bill, Sif, Ares, Gamora, and Drax before stealing the power gem. Finally, after all this destruction and betrayal, Moondragon, Doctor Strange, Adam Warlock, and Thanos, of all people, managed to condemn evil Valkyrie back into Thor's mind. Then Odin and Thor take her out for good. Although this appears to be more of a metaphorical apparition representing Thor's mental struggles, there is a time, 11 issues to be exact, when Valkyrie appears quite unusually as a villain to those she normally fights alongside. At number 4 is that Valkyrie actually inhabits more than one human form in the real world. Although Valkyrie is known as being Brunhild in her mortal form, she's actually appeared as 4 other women throughout the comics. The first embodiment she takes on other than Brunhild is Samantha Parrington, when Enchantress copies her essence onto Parrington to take on the Hulk, all against Val's will. The second is Barbara Norris, who has a longer run as Valkyrie's human form. For a decent while in the 70s, Norris simply replaces Brunhild as Valkyrie's mortal form for a while. It's as simple as that. Third is Samantha Parrington, again, except this time it's done at Val's will. And fourth and finally is the case of Annabelle Riggs. In this case, Valkyrie starts to lose her sense of self and becomes the Doom Maiden of Rage, killing Annabelle during a moment of, well, rage. And she regrets it. So she goes to Valhalla, something she's very used to doing, and retrieves Annabelle's soul with the help of another sorceress. But the deal is that Annabelle has to share Valkyrie's body. So there they are. The 4, or really 3 mortal forms of Valkyrie other than Brunhild. At number 3 is that Valkyrie was in fact introduced alongside the Avengers in an Avengers comic, or against them to be more exact. First appearing in the Avengers 83 in 1970, Valkyrie is shown leading a team of Lady Liberators fighting against the Avengers. Although this is the perfect first shot of Valkyrie showing her strength and integrity as a strong female character in all her glory, it turns out just to be the Enchantress putting on an impersonation of Valkyrie. But before she truly appears in her first legitimate form in 1972, another impersonation of her appears in Incredible Hulk number 142 in 1971. This is the time when she appears as Samantha Parrington, as mentioned in the previous entry. So why does Valkyrie appear twice in illegitimate forms before making her first true appearance? It isn't clear, but it's a trend that continues into the character's life as she goes on to rub shoulders with tricky enchantresses and convoluted illusions well into her life as a hero. At number 2 is a fun fact that Valkyrie was actually a teammate of Wonder Woman's mother. But how can Marvel work one of their own into the backstory of a DC character? Well, it all goes back to the beginning of this list where we discussed how Valkyrie is based on a mythological character, Brunhild. And for various reasons, this old tale is unbound by copyright law. Well, so is Wonder Woman's origin story. Hippolyta is known by many DC fans as Wonder Woman's mother, but she's originally known in mythology as the Greek queen of the Amazons and daughter of Ares. And these myths, just like those that Valkyrie is based on, are all fair use by any writer at Marvel Studios. So In Fearless Defenders, when exploring Valkyrie's origins, we learn that she has fought with Hippolyta in the past, and their task in that moment was to fight off zombie Vikings and Doom Maidens side by side. It's known online to be kind of a bizarre moment considering how different this version of Hippolyta is from DC's interpretation, but it happens. And it's actually a pretty cool moment considering Marvel and DC don't often make attempts at finding common grounds in their storytelling. Finally, at number 1, Valkyrie is the first LGBTQ character to appear on the big screen in the MCU. In the comics, the character is known to be bisexual, and when she appears in Thor Ragnarok, it is confirmed that the character maintains this sexual identity. This is a big deal for many people from this community who had been waiting to see proper representation in the MCU movies. The decision to have the character be bisexual is confirmed by Tessa Thompson, the actor who plays Valkyrie in the film. She tweeted that this decision is in fact true and in line with the original comics, although it isn't explicitly addressed in the movie. Even though Joey Gutierrez from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Jerry Hogarth from various Netflix Marvel series are openly gay, Valkyrie is the first character to represent the LGBTQ community in the films. It's a pretty good accolade for a character that I think we've learned through this list would make these communities proud. Alright, that was the list for today. Let me know if there are any good Valkyrie facts that I may have missed. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course, join me again on the next one by subscribing if you haven't already. I've been your host Ben Ball, and this has been Top 10 Nerd. Thanks for watching. See you guys soon.